This video is not intended to slander, defame, or vilify Travis Scott. This video is my attempt to speculate and document the insanely complex come-up story of Jock Webster in his early years before becoming the superstar that we know today. Everything in this video has been sourced from internet archives, deleted posts, Travis's old posts on various social medias, and quite frankly, rumors. What does it take to be as famous as Travis Scott? Determination, fearlessness, command, power, deception, guise, fate, or luck? 2026 Waterfall Drive, Missouri City, Texas. This is the beautiful Houston suburb where Jock Webster lives. The year is 2007. Wanda Webster comes home from her job at Apple with a brand new iMac Core 2 Duo for her 16-year-old son, which would be the catalyst for him to take his beat-making career more seriously. The story starts with an obsessed Kid Cudi and Kanye West fan. He even named himself after Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott. Travis spent all of his time in the Pit, which was his bedroom studio. His best friend Josh Dozy Canoe connected with Travis because they were both ambitious creatives who wanted to escape their small suburb. Travis would record other local rappers, produce beats, DJ, anything that involved music. He was obsessed. In his Spanish class, he met a boy by the name of Jason Eric, who would become known as OG Chess. He also met two other important people in high school, Ashton Travis and Chase B, but we'll get to them later. Travis and Jason both shared dreams of rapping, and they both had nightmares of one day suffering from hair loss. But lucky for them, Keeps has a solution. Keeps is a subscription service that helps men keep their hair, and I want to thank them for sponsoring today's video. 2 out of 3 guys will experience hair loss by the time they're 35. Keeps offers clinically proven research-backed treatments to stop hair loss. So if you're looking to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just take better care of the hair that you do have, Keeps has you covered. They have a network of expert medical advisors and care specialists. You can get professional quality and care without ever visiting a doctor's office or pharmacy. And even though their treatment plans are affordable, typically half the cost of pharmacy prices, they got a special offer for the water pack. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/patcc or click the link in the description. That's KEEPS.com/patcc. Thanks, Keeps. They unofficially called themselves The Classmates. Their first project, the Babe mixtape, dropped around spring of 2009. It was a mishmash of remixed popular records at that time, with terrible auto-tune singing but promising rapping abilities. They both graduated high school and attended the University of Texas at San Antonio, just a few hours west of Missouri City. The duo was more focused on partying, making music, and living a lifestyle rather than studying for exams. By the way, make sure you're hydrated while watching this video. Travis understood the value of social media. In 2009, he and Jason were using Twitter to spam anyone and everyone who was popping to listen to their music. Every single day, for months, it was non-stop spam. Wiz Khalifa, Big Sean, Wale. If anyone could hear their music, Travis was convinced it wouldn't be a waste of their time. Buddy Rich, the second mixtape between Travis and Jason, dropped in December 2009. Another project filled with remixes and some originals. Trav giving his best Kanye and Kid Cudi impersonations, while Chess, on the other hand, carried most of the records. He was less creatively ambitious, rapping in a very basic frat rap sort of way, but it's likely that their small fan base liked Chess more because his sound was clearer and very current. Travis was trying to do things way outside of his skill set. Another key connection would happen, which would give some promise for the Classmates. Spoof Don, who attended the university with Travis, was the son of N.O. Joe, who is a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum producer who worked with Ice Cube, LL Cool J, UGK, Scarface, and basically every 90s rapper in the South. He is well-respected, connected, and had a studio located one town over from where Travis grew up, Stafford, Texas. Spoof is an interesting part of the story because he claims to be a part of the Classmates and was featured in a few songs, but there are basically no pictures of them together other than a few, and he's never mentioned in any tweets. They linked up in 2016 to work on Spoof's album, which we know at the time Travis was very famous, and Trav was featured on a bunch of his songs, but those features were recorded in 2010. I couldn't help but notice that in every single photo, Travis can't even look at the camera. It's like he's being forced to be there, or that he doesn't want to be seen with Spoof. They were also hyping up a music video, which never came out, and all of the photos and really tweets that are related to this event are deleted. Spoof grew up around famous rappers his whole life, and quite frankly, his music isn't very good. He kind of gives me like daddy's money energy. Something tells me Trav wanted to get in with N.O. Joe, hoping for a quality studio and maybe some connections. Maybe he just had to deal with Spoof in the meantime. Kind of like when you hang out with the rich kid because he had the pool and the trampoline and the sick gaming room, but you didn't really like him. But then again, when Birds in the Trap hit number 1, N.O. Joe claimed that Travis was from his camp in a now deleted Instagram post. Not sure how much involvement Spoof and N.O. Joe had with Travis's career, but he was around them. Something happened. Travis and Jason traveled a lot from San Antonio to Austin to Houston, just hustling the music scene to get their names out there, trying to do any shows they could get, clubs, house parties, whatever. But the internet grind was still important. Travis's friend that I mentioned before, Dozy, would email people pretending to be Travis, trying to get him recognition. One of these people was Shane Morris, who would become Travis's manager. Another one of these people was Anthony Kilhofer, who is an engineer and producer who has worked with Kanye West on every single one of his albums since The College Dropout.
You mean Kilhofer?
Man, email. This idiot has his number and fucking email on the internet.
Dozy sent Travis's music to Kilhofer as much as he could, trying to get feedback and hoping to one day have a meeting. Pretty interesting that Kanye's go-to engineer was that accessible. Like, how did more people not try that? But you know, Trav. Anything for Kanye. Summer of 2010, Travis is not so sure about going back to university. His mind is fixated on being a rapper, despite not really having too much traction. He linked up with an old friend, Chase B. Chase was a college radio host at Howard University in Washington, D.C. He also did house parties and clubs, so he could get Travis some traction out there. Plus, Chase lived in D.C. with Ashton Travis, who was another high school friend making some noise with his music. Fall of 2010 would be the last semester in San Antonio for Travis before he dropped out. During the semester, he was trying to be around Chase and Ashton as much as possible since they were his only music friends outside of Texas. By the start of 2011, he dropped out and he was ready to do everything he could to make it in the music game. He was going to DC to visit his 727 homies, perform at Howard's homecoming, and taking trips from Texas to New York to LA. Tony Loney, his good friend and videographer, was doing his best to document the whole process. This crazy lifestyle across the country would be inspiration for the next Travis and Jason project called Cruisin' USA. Tony was another helpful person for Travis. 1, because he needed a cameraman, and 2, because Tony's brother James Loney was a professional baseball player for the LA Dodgers. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but it's possible that Travis, Jason, and Tony would crash at James' place while taking these trips to LA. Travis also said that he had a friend that attended USC, so he would crash in the dorms there after nights of partying, but he literally never says anyone's name when he tells his story in interviews, so we never really know who he's referring to, because everybody's just my friend, my homie, my boy. Also, how was Travis paying for all of this? Well, he never told his parents that he dropped out, so they think he's still in San Antonio. Every 2 weeks, they were sending him money for food, rent, and school necessities. Travis was taking their hard-earned money, spending it on flights, music, alcohol, and anything to continue his lifestyle. Travis started wearing leather since that's what Kanye was doing. The Classmates EP drops, which had better rapping and more ambitious production. Travis's beats were very unique, very Kanye, but still exceptional at the time. Producing was definitely his biggest asset, and his singing was just starting to hint at the Travis that we know today. June 1st, 2011, Cruisin' USA drops, which would be the most highly regarded mixtape from the duo, the most successful tape from them, but also their last. This is the first tape where you can really hear the potential in Travis's auto-tuned melodies. He skipped on a show they were supposed to do together in July in Houston, so OG Chess had to do it by himself. For the next few months, Chess still promoted the duo and their project. It's not like they split up and just went separate ways like clean. It was kind of slow. They were both like halfway invested. Still hanging out, still promoting the project for the next few months and doing performances together. But this is where the story gets weird and becomes extremely difficult for me to put the pieces together. I've done research on so many artists. Travis is the only one who tells a different story every single time he's asked about his come up. In all fairness, it seems like he did couch surf quite a bit. It was probably difficult to have a stable life when you're lying about being in college and don't have anywhere to go. Probably thinking, oh, I was at this person's house, but it was really this other person's house in LA, or maybe you didn't even know where you were. That seems to be like it could have been a reality for Travis Scott. There are a few key points in the story that aren't really adding up, or I can't find 100% proof that they actually happened, and there are also a few rumors that we need to explore. The first key story point is when he said he lived in New York for a few months with Ashton Travis. He was working at Stadium Red in Harlem, which is a studio owned by Just Blaze. Basically, Scott was an intern there, and the main producer who worked at the studio, Omen, let him work at night. We know it was during these night sessions when the idea for Owl Pharaoh was created, which was his first solo project that came out 2 years later, meaning that before Travis and Jason broke up, Trav could have been working on a solo project behind Chess's back, which could have led to a fallout. Judging by a bunch of tweets, Omen and Ashton were working together a lot from January 2011 to June 2011, which does line up to Travis's statement of working and living in New York for a few months. However, there are no pictures, videos, podcasts, or any digital footprint that I could find that proves Travis lived in New York and worked at Stadium Red for a significant amount of time. There are some pictures of him in December 2011 where he's clearly at this studio, but this doesn't really line up to the story much, which I'll get to. The only other clue maybe is him posting a bunch of pictures of owls on his Tumblr in July of 2011. Apparently a lot of stuff got deleted from his Tumblr. There seems to be a history of things getting deleted when people talk about Travis's past. The second main event was a meeting with Killhofer. Travis had been corresponding for months with the engineer. For some reason, the guy saw potential in him. Why would he spend all this time giving feedback for over a year? I have no idea, but I guess he was right. Travis tells the story that he was in Texas. Killhofer asked to meet, so he flew to LA because he lied and said that he was already there. They had a 15-minute meeting, and Killhofer said he was about to go on the Watch the Throne tour, which was in October 2011. So I don't know what about to go on means. Could be a week, could be a day, could be a month, could be, I don't know. But you might think that this meeting took place around that time. But in May of 2011, I have a photo of what appears to be Travis, since the necklace matches the one that he was wearing just a few days before, and this really looks like Killhofer. I mean, I know we're looking at the back of his head, but I mean, the gray hair, sitting at what appears to be a home studio, the glasses. I mean, this has to be him. But this is 5 months before the Watch the Throne tour. Also, the same day that this picture with Killhofer was posted, these other pictures of Travis and Chess were posted together, what maybe could be LA. But where's Chess in the photo with Killhofer? Was Travis working with Killhofer without Chess? Was Killhofer not interested in Chess? Did Chess even know about Killhofer? Also, this is a side note. In his first interview ever with Complex in 2012, he said, "I didn't get into a lot of trouble growing up, but I was doing mischievous shit. I wouldn't do dumb shit, but I would just like skip school to do beats or skip school to meet Mike Dean, who's literally Kanye's like right-hand man producer. And then I'd come back to school and be like, I was just with Mike Dean. Next thing you know, I'm making beats with the homie. It's crazy." He didn't meet Killhofer or anyone in the industry until well after he dropped out of college. But this interview makes it seem like he was working with Mike Dean while still being in high school? What? Or maybe in college? Even know. Cruisin' USA was a beloved project in Missouri City and Houston. According to a lot of hearsay on the internet, a lot of this information is from anonymous accounts and uncredible sources, but we can speculate. OG Chess was that guy. He drove around in a Benz and everyone loved him. He was better looking, girls liked him, and like I said before, he had the current rap sound that people loved. Maybe some jealousy and tension was brewing. A$AP Ferg had reached out to the duo to connect. He was going to visit Houston and wanted to work. The song Harlem to Texas was born. Travis is in parts of the video, but this was a solo Chess and Ferg collab, produced by Chess as well. Why wasn't Trav a part of it? There was also another song that was made at this time between Chess and Ferg called Home, which was produced by Travis. This would be a very controversial song, but we'll get to that. Almost at the exact same time that the A$AP collab happened, Travis dropped his first solo record, which was called That Bitch Crazy, accompanied with a visual. Again, basically Trav doing his best Kanye impression, but it would still get him some attention. This record would be the one that Shane Morris, owner of the Ear Milk music blog, was ready to push. He finally saw potential in Travis after he had been emailing him for over a year. Shane recommended the track to his blog buddies, and it got posted on a few different ones. So now we're in November/December of 2011. Trav and Chess are doing their own thing separately. We don't know for sure if Travis met Killhofer in real life yet. We don't know where he's living. It could have been around this time that he was working at Stadium Red in New York and working on Owl Pharaoh. Remember, Trav was all over the map: New York, LA, DC, Texas, so much that it seems like he didn't really have like a consistent spot to live. Also, at some point, his parents found out about him lying and taking their money, so they cut him off. No idea when this happened. But according to Shane Morris, on January 6, 2012, Travis moved to Los Angeles in his home. I can't find any proof that that happened. Shane went on a crazy Twitter rant in 2015 posting pictures of them together, but now they're all deleted and I can't find them anywhere. Just before he allegedly moved in, he dropped the song and video to Lovesick, which is even more Travis trying to be Kanye. This would be the song that eventually Kanye heard, but we'll get to that. The song at the time was fire. Every big music blog picked it up. The way that Travis tells the story is that he flew from New York to LA, and when he landed, he had 5 missed calls from T.I. He says he doesn't know how T.I. got his number. and he went straight to the meeting. T.I. said he really fucked with him, and he was going to keep his eye on him. Shane doesn't really tell the same exact story, so we don't really know. But Shane claims that Travis lived in his house for 2 months, and he got him a bunch of record label meetings, introduced him to everyone that he knew in the industry in hopes of becoming his manager. We don't know how valid of a source Shane is. In terms of blog write-ups, Ear Milk, which he owned, was a very poppin' blog. It wouldn't be much for him to just reach out to other big blogs like Ill Roots, Hot New Hip Hop, XXL, and just say, hey, this is dope, I'm working with this artist, could you post it? As far as bigger music industry connects, I don't think Shane was the only reason. Travis had this way of knowing how to get from one person to another. It could be a guy that worked at McDonald's whose cousin was a photographer for Kid Cudi's stylist. Travis will figure out a way to slither through everybody to get to the top person that he wants to get to. I mean, I even found a text message from Travis to his friend that said he's working with Dr. Dre just 1 month after his second single? Huh? During this time in LA, I know it was Travis, Tony Loney, and Chase B. I have no idea where they were living or who they were bumming off of. He had Lovesick, That Bitch Crazy, Analog, 16 Chapels, and a few other singles. He was linking up with some pretty poppin' people like Mac Miller, T Mills, living the lifestyle that he always dreamed of, but had a little bit of buzz. How did he get all of this so fast? Does all of this just happen from 2 YouTube videos? Did Shane do all of this? I mean, I know times were different back then, but working with Dre, getting looked at from every label, there's gotta be more to the story. Shane suffered from an epileptic seizure, and apparently this is when Travis cut him off, saying his manager can't have seizures cause what if it scares T.I.? Obviously, we don't know if this actually happened. Shane also claimed that they inflated Travis's follower count on Twitter by creating bots.
I programmed a fleet of SoundCloud bots to artificially inflate his play counts on SoundCloud,
as well as getting him a verification before he was relevant, but he provided zero proof of this. Shane also put tons and tons of things that Travis stole, cheated, lied about, but this is all just one man's word. One man who could just be very angry that he got used for his connections and thrown away. From here, Travis did sign to T.I.'s Grand Hustle Entertainment, sometime around March of 2012, but him and T.I. even put out a song together. His last album with them was Astroworld, but didn't he also sign to Kanye? In April of 2012, Travis gets a call from Anthony Kilhofer, saying that Kanye just watched the Lovesick video twice and wants to meet him. Travis had been talking to Kilhofer for a while, and Anthony wanted to manage him after he was getting buzz. He told him that Kanye wants to meet. Trav flies to New York and waits there for 5 days to meet him, but it happens. Kanye gives him a taco with sour cream on it. Despite hating sour cream, Travis eats the disgusting taco because he's sitting with the guy he was trying to be for the past 5 years. Kanye, I guess, saw his vision, and they immediately got to working on music together. Travis makes this seem like no big deal. The guy he literally copied for his whole adult life at this point, sitting right in front of him, recognizing him after just putting out basically one music video, and yeah, it's no big deal. Kanye invited him to Hawaii for a few months to work on the Good Music album. Travis touched up basically every record, but only got credits on one track. From here, he got featured on Meek Mill's Dream Chasers 2 album, he had a song with Casey Veggies, Lex Luger, and was known in the industry as a producer. At least that's how the story goes. I had a hard time finding any big records he produced other than the Good Music ones. Some people say it was all a marketing ploy to promote him as the next Kanye. He can produce, he can rap, he's got the fashion. He would eventually also sign to Epic Records while being signed to Grand Hustle, which sounds like a 360 deal. Maybe that's the reason why he was doing all the crazy brand deals and going hard with clothing later on. But Travis never seemed to care about the money. He just wanted to get to the next level, always. Just to live the lifestyle, make music, and be just like his idols. The song I mentioned before, Home, with OG Chess and ASAP Ferg, they decided to release that 1 year later in September 2012. At this point, Travis is deep with good music. Chess obviously worked on that song, so he felt entitled to it. Apparently, Travis wanted to give that beat to Kanye, so Sony and Epic threatened to sue because of the track getting posted. Shane Moore said that Travis stole this song from Chess. We don't know for sure, but this threat to sue is what prompted Shane Morris to post this whole story about Travis. Trav had success in 2013 with the song Upper Echelon. He was also featured on Jay-Z's album, and he was a 2013 XXL freshman. By this point, he was known in the industry, but not really by the general public other than that one song. Owl Pharaoh dropped, and he had some buzz for sure, but he was definitely early to be a freshman, especially because most people wouldn't even find out about him until 2015 with the album Rodeo. Interviewers asked him, how did this all happen? But Travis never answered clearly. He had a falling out with Tony Loney, his longtime friend, videographer, and director of the video that Kanye loved. There's a story told by Tony's cousin, who used to run Travis Scott's Facebook page when he was still working with Chess. He said that Travis was using Tony's laptop because he left everything at the hotel in Hawaii when they were working on Cruel Summer. Instead of buying a new one, He used Tony's for a year straight. Trav was about to head on his first tour in mid-2013, and Tony wanted to visit his family in Houston since he had uprooted his whole life for Travis for the past few years. He went to grab his laptop, and Travis ripped it out of his hands, claiming ownership. They had a scuffle, Tony went back to Houston, and they haven't spoke since. But again, can't really confirm that this is true. In the music industry, people get burned. They get left behind. It happens. Most of the time, it's hard to tell what kind of relationships people had. I'm sure there's some people that you can think of right now in your life that you don't even know where your relationship really stands. Is it work? Is it friends? Is it acquaintances? So there are a lot of people who spoke out against Travis in the past. He stole this, he took that, I wrote this, I didn't get credit. But you can't ever really tell how true these things are because it's always just one person's word against Travis. And he never speaks on anything. I mean, you saw in his Astroworld apology, this 1-hour interview with Charlemagne, he literally said nothing. But that's what makes him and his story so interesting. Maybe all of this isn't that deep. Maybe it's just normal Fallout stuff and there isn't anything dark or mysterious. But the fact that he never says anything or never tells a clear story is what makes it interesting. Why won't he ever talk about Chess? Chess tried to reach out in 2018 to him in a now deleted tweet before it's too late. What does that mean? Chess went on to have some success in the underground, making tracks with ASAP, Maxo Cream, and was even around Playboi Carti and Ian Connor, but his career didn't amount to anything. The only original friend that Travis has is Chase B. But Chase B is an incredible DJ who brings a lot of value to Travis. Is his story just of a man who uses people until they aren't of value of him anymore, steps on them to get to the next bigger person to further his agenda? Or is this story of an incredibly talented artist who hustled his way to Kanye and took opportunities that were given to him by luck, by fate, by having talent, and had fallouts just like every other person in life does? Well, as Kanye says,
I guess we'll never know.